So, welcome. What are we talking about today? Microsoft To Do is good for your mental health. So, first up, let's just say a big thank you to all of the sponsors. It's not easy for all of the team putting this together. So, thank you for the sponsors making this happen. And you've probably all seen this already, but the code of conduct, we're inclusive. We want to be happy and friendly. So, follow the code of conduct, please. So a little bit about me. So I'm a consultant, an MVP. I work with a lot of organizations who are adopting things at a rapid pace in this changing world. So a lot of what I do is around productivity and more about well-being as well. So what am I going to cover today? Well, I'm going to cover a little bit about the science because it's a bit of a bold claim to say that Microsoft To Do is good for your mental health, but there is science to back it up. I'm also going to cover off, obviously, what the tool does. So what does Microsoft To Do actually provide us? How can we use it? And then I'm going to go through the benefits. What can you actually do? How can you use it effectively? Because a tool is one thing, but actually using it effectively to help us is really the important thing. And then a few next steps. How can you actually help your organization adopt it? How can you help your peers, your colleagues adopt it as well? So with that, let's dive into a little bit about the science. It's easy to say something's good for your mental health, but actually there is science to back it up. And Luma Zignerig in 1927, she did research on how we remember things, how we remember tasks that we have to do. And she looked at people working in restaurants, so waiters and waitresses. And essentially, they remember open orders better than they remember closed orders. Once you've finished your meal, they'll forget you completely. They'll forget what you ordered, and you'll be out of their mind completely. However, when you're actually sitting in a restaurant and you actually have an open order, they're much more likely to remember those tasks because they're open and they're active. So that's great when you're working in a restaurant. But for most of us, if you're an information worker, you're working with a lot of tasks that maybe are coming from multiple different sources, and you need to track them and you need to understand what you need to do. And the worst case scenario is that you're actually thinking about them and your brain is remembering them at the wrong time. So, if you're thinking about all the tasks that you have to do and it's 3 o'clock in the morning, that's definitely the wrong time to be thinking about them. So in 2011, Masicampo and Baumeister, they looked at how we can actually reduce that burden on our brains, the cognitive load of remembering those tasks. And what they worked out was that actually, if we just write it down, if we just record a plan for how we're going to complete the task, our brain kind of says, well, okay, we've made a note of it. We've tracked it. We understand what it can do, what we need to do. And therefore, we don't have to worry about it so much. So it's a really important concept to think that actually, on one hand, our brains will remember a task that is active, but on the other hand, we can mitigate that by actually writing down a task. So really powerful tools to say, actually, there is science behind this. There is a reason why we remember things, why we wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, worrying about things, anxious about tasks that we have to do. Maybe we think we've forgotten about a task, but we can mitigate that by writing it down and actually keeping track of it. Now, obviously, it's great if we write tasks down. That's brilliant. But actually, what we really want to do is we really want to complete a task. And there is science behind this as well. In our brains, there is a chemical called dopamine. And actually, that gives us a physical pleasure. If we actually tick a task off, we actually get a little hit of dopamine, and that actually gives us pleasure. So physically, we actually are geared to complete tasks and actually get satisfaction from it. So if you think about it, if you think back to tasks that you've done, maybe you've painted a wall, or you're building furniture from IKEA, or you're writing a document, giving a presentation, writing code, maybe even moving a post-it note on a board to say a task is done. All of these, if you think back to them, you feel a level of satisfaction and you feel accomplishment and you feel happy about it. So completing a task is really important as well, because that gives us the pleasure. And let's face it, we all want to feel the pleasure of actually completing tasks. Now, just a point on this. This is a physical reaction in our brains, but we can't force it just by sort of writing a task down just to tick it off. That doesn't actually work. It won't give you the same satisfaction. So we really need to think about this as a management of our tasks and genuine sort of management and completion of those tasks as well. So the science, there is science there. So what do we actually look for when we're looking at the tools? So if we want to get all of those tasks, actually one of the key things that we really want to do is not have them in 17 different solutions where we have to go and see all of those different solutions. The first thing that we really want to do is to be able to consolidate our tasks, to bring them together into that one location where we can actually see them all together in one place. Now, consolidating tasks is really important because I might have personal tasks. They might be written down on a piece of paper next to me. I actually have a whole bunch of Post-it notes stuck to the table at the moment to go through demos. I've got lots of different ways that I can actually track my personal tasks. And if we think back to how we want to actually make sure that we're alleviating that cognitive load on ourselves, we need to track all of those tasks. So being able to track our personal tasks is great, but I'm sure, like me, you probably get emails and you probably get tasks from emails as well. So, I get emails and I have to do something in response. Maybe it takes 5 minutes and I respond. That's great. But actually, if I need to actually do something as a result of an email, if I have to put some thought into responding to it, then maybe I will flag that email because there's something I need to do. So within Microsoft To Do, we get those flagged emails coming through as well. So we can see all of the emails that we need to do something for. We don't necessarily need to say what we need to do. We just need to say we've actually tagged that email. We've tagged it by flagging it, and therefore we can see it. And then we have Planner. And Planner, as I'm sure most of you are aware, is a great way of using a visible tool, making work visible in terms of within a team, what do you actually need to do? You need to actually be able to see all of the tasks that your team needs to do, see what status they're in, see what bucket they're in, and see when they're assigned to you and what the dates are. So being able to see all of those different tasks in one place is really, really important. Now, that being said, there are obviously some areas where tasks are going to be stored that we can't see. So where we might have project management or Azure DevOps, other tools, those tasks won't come in, but you could be automating that with Flow if you want to Power Automate to actually push tasks into To Do if you want to. But for the time being, we're going to focus on these 3 different types of tasks: personal tasks, flagged emails, and team tasks coming from Planner. When we bring them together, one of the real benefits of actually being able to have them together is that we can then look at them as a whole. We can look at them all and we can prioritize them. So we can drag them up and down and actually prioritize them that way. But we also have things like we can flag them within To Do and say, well, actually, that's an important task. And we can actually schedule, we can see them when they're scheduled, when they're overdue. So we can see when they're due, we can see if we're flagging them as important. And that gives us the ability to prioritize not just our personal tasks, but to prioritize our Planner tasks and our flagged emails as well. And this is a really important capability because it means that we can then start to say, well, actually, what do we want to do today? How much time do I have available to do tasks? Maybe I've got lots of meetings going on and I only have a couple of hours. Maybe that gives us a time box where we can say, well, I can get these tasks done, and these are the important tasks. These are the ones that I really have to get done today. So being able to see all of those tasks together in one place is really, really powerful tool for us in order for us to actually choose which tasks we actually want to complete. Now, when it comes to completing tasks, one of the key tools that we have in Microsoft To Do is the ability to flag any of these types of tasks as important, but then also to flag it as my day and put it into a specific task, a specific list that shows me just these tasks that I want to do today. And then we have integration with Outlook Online as well. So we can actually put tasks directly into our calendar and block the time out so that nobody books meetings over that time. So we've got various tools that actually support us in how we actually complete the tasks. And then obviously we have the ability to complete a task, and we can do that from lots of different places, wherever we can see the tasks that we've got in Microsoft to do. So there's quite a lot that we can do within Microsoft to do. So I'm going to go through and actually show you what this looks like, because it's invaluable to actually know how this actually works. So let's move across to, let's start in the web. So if we come into Office 365, there's a few places where we can actually see the tasks in To Do. So one of them, we can go to the apps and we have To Do. So I can click on that and that will open up To Do. The other place is if I come into Outlook, so Outlook Online, and if I come down and look down here, I will have To Do there as well. And both of those will end up in the same place. So what do I get to when I'm in To Do? Well, I have various different things in here. So on the left-hand side, I have a menu, and this has what are called smart lists up at the top. And these down here are my personal tasks down at the bottom. So within here, what I can actually do is I can actually have a task list and I can group them. So in here, for example, I have my tasks and I have a group. So I can group separate lists of tasks together. And one of the nice things about this is if I do have a set of tasks that I want to repeat, so maybe it is, around an event, for example, I can set my tasks up and I can actually duplicate this list. So I can actually just create a copy of that. And then I can come up here, I can give it a name. So I can say community event 2 or demo. Let's call it demo. And therefore I've got a copy of all of those tasks. And then I can drag that up. And if I want to, I can put that up there and then I can start using that. So these are my personal tasks where I might have repeated lists of tasks that I actually want to do. And I can create new lists. And then if I want to, I can get rid of this list as well. So I can delete this list and that's it. It's gone. So it's very easy for us to actually manage these personal tasks in here. And then I have a default list. So this is my default task list. So if I create tasks from other things, other tools, then this is where those tasks will actually end up. So let's have a look at what actually is in a task. So if I come down here, I have various things that I can do in a task. So you can see here I've got due date and I've got 0 to 3. So let's open this task up. So in here, what I've got is I've got a title for the task. So it's very easy to just put a one-line title in. I can add steps in here as well. So I can add in different steps. I can add to my day. I'll come on to my day in a little while, but I can add it to my day from here. I can put reminders in as well. So whilst I can say that this might be due on a certain day, and I can say, well, actually pick a date. So let's say next week. I can actually put reminders in as well and say, actually, at a particular time, give me a reminder for this task so that I don't forget that it's due in a week's time. So that's a really powerful tool because what we're doing here is just allowing us to have more visibility. It helps us to prioritize these as well. So we can put reminders in. We can put categories in here as well. So I can put these different categories in. Let's snooze that. That's a reminder. So I can put categories in, and I can just choose different categories that go in there. And I can also add files in here. Now, this one's a bit controversial. I use SharePoint a lot. I use Teams a lot. I would much rather have content going into either of those two tools than actually uploading a file and actually putting it into a personal task. So for me, I don't really use the add file in personal tasks. I will actually keep those files somewhere else. And I can add notes in here. So simple notes. And that's it. That task is now updated. You can see that it's got the category in there. You can see that it's got a little icon to show that it's got a note. It's got a due date. And I can see that actually it's got all of these different options. And if I tick those off, then you can see that it says 3 of 6. So the actual structure of a personal task is really quite simple. I don't have a lot of complexity in there. It's enough to be the equivalent of, writing it down on a post-it, writing it down on a piece of paper. It's very simple and straightforward to actually create these. And then when I want to tick it off as done, I tick it off and it can go into the completed list. And that's it. It really is as simple as that. It then shows it as a scratched out in terms of the title. It grays everything out, and that's it done. If I want to reopen it, I can do that very easily as well. So it's very, very easy for us to manage these tasks, to create them all. And it's an intuitive, easy way to work with tasks. Now, I can also prioritize these by just moving them up and down. So I can just move them up and down if I want to have a priority from top to bottom, which is, again, very useful. So what happens if I want to flag emails? So let's come into my inbox. I've got 2 items in here. So I've got a late task. So maybe I want to actually flag that one. So if I just come in here and I flag this message, then that message gets flagged, which is great. And if I come back in here and look at flagged emails, I have that email there flagged. And if I click on that, and I can see it says I've got slightly different information here because this information is coming from that flagged email. So I have a link to open in Outlook. I have the content of it. Again, I can add a file. I can pick a category. So I can do various things in there in terms of those managing those categories. And I can do the same things. I can actually add other steps. So if I want to actually add more to the information around that task, the key information is that it is this email from Outlook. And I can then come in here, and if I tick this off and say, actually, I've done this, then what that does is when we go back in to Outlook, we can see it's being categorized in here. So these are the categories that you would use in Outlook to actually classify emails, classify meetings. So same categories, but actually that flag is now ticked off. So I've ticked that off. And in the same way, so let's just flag this one. If I flag that one, and that one now shows up in here, if I tick this off and say that's now done, that will show up in here as well. So we've got that integration, very tight integration between Outlook and flagging emails and the tasks that we're actually managing within To Do. So we've got nice integration with Outlook in that way. Now, what we also have is obviously a Windows 10 application as well. And if I come in and I look at, so we've got the same, sorry, let's come in here. We've got the same tasks in here. And if I come into the flagged emails, I have the same things in here. One nice thing about To Do as an application on Windows 10, I can choose different accounts. So I can have multiple different accounts and easily flip between those tasks. At the moment, I can't see all of those tasks together, which would be absolute bliss to see everything together. But what it does mean is that I can actually see the different accounts quite easily. So you can see that I've got these emails showing. I've got a reminder just pop up there. So I can actually snooze that, or I can complete it. Now, if I complete it, then what it should do is say that my test demos, wherever that one was, should get ticked off. So The reminders come up, they pop up in the application, they pop up online as well. So we've got flagged emails. That's great. In Outlook, I can see those. I can tag them as a task by flag, put in the flags. I can tick them off as being done. I can add different information to those emails in here as well. What I can also do in here is I can move these and actually put them into different tasks, into different task lists. So if a particular email is related to a task list, I can actually put it in here and I can actually see that it's combined with my where's it gone? It was one of those, wasn't it? I can see that it's been, let's take one that's open, combined. So my email and my tasks coming together. So email, great. Now, what about Planner? So within tasks, I'm going to go back on to the online one. It's that one. So within the lists up here, one of our smart lists is assigned to you. Now, when I come into this, these are planner tasks that are assigned to me. I can't see any planner tasks that aren't assigned to me. That's one of the criteria. They have to be assigned to me. So when I look in these, if I come in here, I can see that there is some information. I've got the title. I can add steps to it, and I've got open in Planner. So if you're familiar with Planner, you'll see that some options aren't available, and it does say that some options aren't available for this task. I don't have the full set of capabilities to actually augment what's in this task. So, but I can see essentially the title, and I can see Project A, Project 1A, Project 1B, Project 1A. Now, it's very important if you're thinking about these as all of the tasks coming from Planner to think about, well, where in Planner are they coming from? Which plans are they coming from? Many organizations have an awful lot of planners that are just called Planner because people name the tab rather than naming the actual plan. So what I'm going to do is just go over into Teams now. Now, within Planner, it's still called Planner. It will be called Tasks sooner or later. What I can see in here is actually I've got Project A, Project Site 1, and Community Projects. Now, these are all different teams, but I also have Planner General, Planner Marketing, Planner Project 1A, Planner Project 1B, Planner Project 1C. These are all the channels that are basically within these projects, these teams that have Planner. So if I click in here and look at Project A in the general channel, I can see that I've got some tasks in there. I've got purchase hardware and create backlog. Now, both of those, if we just flip over, will be in here. Purchase hardware, create backlog, and I can see those. And if I click on that, I can see it's overdue October the 20th. And which one was that one? Purchase hardware. And if I click on this, then I will see 20th, and it's the same information that I can see. So it's very similar, but what it means is that when I'm in here, I can actually just tick that off and say that it's done. And it will eventually be ticked off in here and say that it's done. It takes a little while to update. There we go. So it's a very easy way for us to see all of these planner tasks. Now, from this view, I can also see the board, so I can see that familiar view that we're used to if we're seeing this as a tab in Teams, and I can still interact with it and move them around. I can still see the charts, so I can see all the information. I can see the schedule in here, so if you've got due dates, you can see that in here, and I can do all of the filtering to say actually just show the tasks that are assigned to me. I can change the grouping if I want to group it by labels and see the boards like that. I've got all the same capabilities, but I actually have all of the planets here much more easily visible, much more accessible. And then I can still see up here, assigned to me, I can see the same view that I would get in to do, but actually I actually have a bit more information in here, and this is almost a bit more useful because it's got more information around the priorities, it's got the labels, Is it in progress? Does it have an attachment? So it's got more information actually being presented in this view than it does in the native Microsoft To Do application that we look at either on the web or on the desktop. So it's a very useful view in here, especially when you're working with multiple teams, multiple plans. So in here, if I look at this one, it's an interesting little quirk in terms of some teams might have one planner, some might have many planners. So when I look in here, I can see the same tasks as in that channel because it's the same planner for both of those channels. But actually in here, I can see I've got different sets of tasks because I have a different planner for each channel. So I can see all of them based on the name of the tab and the name of the actual project that we've given it as well. So it's a very useful way to see all of the information around the tasks that I have, both my personal task lists, so I can still see my personal task lists up here, and the planner tag tasks as well. And this is obviously all within Teams, not needing to actually exit Teams. It is important to point out that there are a few things in here that aren't here. So it's not identical in terms of its capabilities. So the one key thing that for me is really important that isn't here is My Day. And My Day is really where we want to see what tasks we want to do today. So let me flip back over here and I have a look at To Do in here. So one of the things that we can do within this is to actually allow us to look at these tasks and prioritize them. But we can also create tasks from multiple places. So before I get onto the prioritization, I want to show you some of the integration with Outlook Online, because there are some really key things that, as well as flagging these emails, we can do in here. This integration isn't available in the desktop client in the same way. The flagging is, but the other things that I'm going to show you aren't available in the desktop client. So for me, this is another reason why Outlook Online is really, really a useful tool to use. So one of the things that we have up here is My Day, and it's got the little tick icon, and it's called My Day. If I open that up, interestingly, it doesn't actually start with the My Day view, but it does open up To Do. And what that means is that as well as using a flag, we can actually drag this across and add it as a task. So we can actually create a task from an email. It means that we get a little more functionality because it will literally create a new task that is exactly the same. In this view, we can't do a great deal with it. But when we look at our tasks in here, we then have that email as a task. So without flagging it, we've got a new task, which is quite neat. I quite like that, that approach to it. We can choose different views, so we can see all of the different task lists that we've got. So I can add it as a flagged email. I can add it to My Day. I can add it to various different lists that I've got in there if I want to. So it's quite a useful tool to be able to do that. The other thing is, if I select a certain amount of text, it will bring up this little dialog which allows me to either reply with that text embedded into it or to create a task. And therefore it just takes the text. So if I have a big email and I just want to take a sentence out of it or a paragraph out of it, I can take that and actually just create a task directly from that text. So now if I look in here, I've got that and it's in there. So it's a really useful ways that we can actually create tasks from these emails. Now it also means that within this dialog, I can actually tick those off and say that it's actually completed. So I can manage these tasks in here as well and just say they're completed. So that's useful. I really like the ability to actually be able to do that. Now, if I come over to the calendar and I do the same thing, so it's a beautiful calendar. There's no meetings, nothing in there. It's great. It's a demo environment. It's not real life. If I come over here and I have tasks and I have a look at my tasks in here, so I can see my tasks here. Now, I can actually drag these over and actually block some time out. So I can actually take these tasks and actually block time out and say, actually, that's when I'm going to complete these tasks. Now, when I come in here, I mean, it doesn't give me any information around what the task is. It just says it's got the title. I can't tick it off from here, but I can actually see that I've got time booked out. So when you're planning your day and you want to actually block time out for particular tasks to complete them, then you can do that. And then it stops people booking meetings or taking that time for other things. So it's a really useful tool to help you actually complete those tasks that you need to actually do. So how do we know what tasks we actually want to do on a day? So this is where, I guess for me, there are ceremonies that I have. I have a ceremony at the start of the day. I have one at the start of the week, actually. And what I do is these stars, I actually take these and I uncheck everything that is important at the start of the week, so that I can basically go through and I can say, actually, I want to go through all of my tasks. Now, interestingly, when you look in here, you've got my day, important plans, there's some smart lists in there. But when you come into the actual app, oh, I've lost it. I love to do it. Changes sometimes. Okay, it's not there. Sorry, apologies. I'm looking for the all tasks, but I can't see it there. Okay, I think I've not enabled it on this this instance, which is always useful. So just for your information, when you do want to actually come in and look at the tasks, you can change the theme, but you can also show smart lists. So you can choose which ones you want to show. And there you've got the all, which is what I was looking for, because that's a really useful one. You can also choose which integration you have. So once all is in there, what I can see in all is all of my tasks. So this is a really useful way to be able to basically come through and say, okay, this week, these things are important. So by using the star, I can say, I want to actually look at these ones as being the important tasks that I need to do this week. And what that does is it kind of sets a boundary for you to say, okay, I know I can't get everything done, but these are the ones that I know are really important this week. So I'm going to star these. And the reason that you star them is when they are flagged as important, and again, you know, you're going through all of your lists here. So when you go through all of the tasks that are important, they will show up in one task that is basically pulling all of those tasks that are flagged and saying, this is what's important for me this week. If I do that at the start of the week, I'm immediately kind of removing the load to say, actually, I've got 110 tasks to do. I'm never going to get all of those done because I only have, 30 hours in a week that's available to do it. So I'm going to try and get all of these tasks done. What I then do is say, at the start of each day, have a start the day process. Go through your emails, check and see, is there anything that you should have created a task for or flagged it? If you have anything that still needs to be tagged, then tag it. Make sure that you've got something coming through as a flagged email, and then make a call. Is it important? Should it go into this week's list of things to do? Yes or no? Then, when you've got everything up to date in the important list, work out, what are you going to do today? I might have meetings. I might have, a half day. I might have holiday this afternoon. I'm going to have a finite amount of time to do things. So what I really want to be able to do is to say, these are the things that I'm prioritizing, and then I'm going to add them to my day. And I'm going to add in exactly what I think I'm going to do today. And when I do that, I get this little tag, my day, coming in. And then I have this other list that says, this is what I have for my day. This is what I'm saying that I'm going to do today. And it will start up with suggestions, and you can trigger that just by looking at the light bulb, and you can add things in quite easily. So it's a really useful tool to be able to say, I know I've got lots of things to do. for this week, I'm going to use the importance to say, this is what is important to me to get done this week. And then each day, this is what I'm going to actually do this day, today. That means that you can hopefully get away with just looking at this one list all day and go, this is what I'm actually focusing on. So when you do come into Outlook and your calendar and you're looking, then all you actually want to look at is my day, right? What do I actually have to do today? Drag those into your calendar, block out the time that you're going to need to do those tasks. And hopefully you've then set yourself up to actually complete those tasks that day. Now, obviously things change, it's the best laid plans, they never actually succeed, but at least you're planning it and you're doing the best that you can to make sure that you're going to tick off those tasks so that by the end of the day, you will have gone through. And I don't know whether you can hear the Microsoft ding, but basically when you tick these off, there is a nice little sound that you get. If you get to the end of the day and you have all of your tasks completed, that is a real win for most people. So that's what you want to be aiming for every day, is to be able to say that you've completed all of the tasks that you have set yourself that day. Okay, so I'm going to flip back to the presentation now. So hopefully that gives you an insight into how to use Microsoft To Do. So I think, the real benefits that we have from Microsoft To Do, we're bringing those tasks together from many sources. And if you do have external sources, maybe you've got Remedy or Jira and other things that are creating work for you, use the emails and actually drag those in so that you've tracking those tasks based on the email notifications that you might be getting. Once you have everything in one place, you can prioritize it. You can prioritize it based on each week. So as I suggested, using the importance and say, this is what I'm going to do this week. And then you can prioritize it based on today. What am I actually going to try and achieve today? Using the My Day smart list, dragging those tasks into My Day and making sure that you're then taking them from there and putting them into your calendar to say, I'm blocking the time out to do these tasks. And then when you're doing that, it's easy to complete. You can tick them off using the To-Do app. You can tick them off using the Planner/Tasks app in Teams. Using Outlook Online, you can tick them off. Lots of places. And there's the mobile app as well. And the mobile app is exactly the same as the Windows 10 app that I was showing you, just a little bit smaller on your phone. But you can do all of the same things in it. So it's very easy to consolidate the tasks, very easy to prioritize them, and very easy to complete them. And you do have multiple interfaces and they all show the same tasks. So make sure that you're using all of those different interfaces when they're most appropriate for you. And as I say, ceremonies are really important. If you build a habit where you are actually tracking your tasks and making sure that you are pulling them all over from the email, putting them into To Do, you are taking those tasks and you are planning how you're going to complete them. That will reduce the burden on your brains. We won't be thinking about all of those tasks, waking up in the middle of the night remembering, oh, I forgot to plan that task. It starts to actually, the habit of actually having a ceremony, starting the week, starting the day, ending the day, ending the week, that really starts to actually relieve the mental burden, because you start to get into a routine where you're confident that you know where all those tasks are. You're confident about when you're going to get them done. And, if you do have more tasks than you can do, it's quite normal. Most of us do. It gives you visibility. How many tasks do you have? At which point you can speak to your manager or whoever can help and try and work out how you can actually distribute those tasks to other people or reduce the number of tasks. So do try and get into that routine of saying, starting the week, do I have all of the tasks noted down? Yes, they're all important, the ones that I want to complete this week. Starting the day, what am I going to do today? After you've done those tasks, in the day, make sure that you've got all of those new emails that you've received. Make sure you've got them all added in as tasks if there's stuff that you need to actually do. And then at the end of the week, have a review. Hopefully you can celebrate your achievement of actually completing tasks, and then remove the importance in preparation for your start the week ceremony the next week. So next steps. Everybody is under pressure at the moment. We're all working in quite unique ways. Share these ideas. Work with your team. If you all work in Planner, understand what other tasks people have. Work together and share the burden so that you know how much work people have that's outside of maybe your team. So it's really important if you're open and honest about how much work, because that sets an expectation about what you can complete. Then as a team, you can be more productive. You can see where some members might need support, some members might have extra capacity. So that will help. And then just think about, reducing the cognitive load, writing it down. It will stop you waking up in the middle of the night. It'll reduce that anxiety and potentially absence. And potentially it will increase the productivity and performance of you, your team, and your organization. And with that, I'm going to check and see whether there are any questions. Right, what do we have?
Thank you very much. We just had a very important delivery here. So for the Dutch people or the Dutch War Room that is looking here, they delivered our bottles. There are no questions in the chat.
They're not.
Now, but no. Thank you very much for the tip about the all list, because I was actually waiting until they were going to release it. So I saw it a couple of months ago, and I didn't know that you had to enable it yourself. So
yeah. So it's a really useful list, actually, the all list, to be able to see all of your tasks together.
Yeah. That was a thing that I was missing when I was coming from Wunderlist.
Yes.
So
yes,
I enabled it on my end. So
excellent. Well, if there are any questions, I'll be around for a little while. So yeah, just let me know if there are any questions, and I'll post the slides in a little while as well.
Perfect. Thank you very much, and have a great day.
I will. Yeah, and everybody else have a great day as well.
Okay. See you in the next session, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
The Omita framework is an enterprise-ready software platform that makes it possible to set up an easy integration between your existing back-office applications and push all the relevant information into digital workplaces. Omita has developed various kinds of solutions which can be easily deployed and linked to your back-office applications. Omita has solutions for contract management, HR to speed up onboarding and offboarding processes, sales dashboards, shop floor portals, and many more. If you want more information, visit our website.